coming from the communities to where gangs was around and everything like that, what is something that you could tell them that could, that where you could show that I am listening, and I do want to also bring us together to do some things that can help our community, not hurt our community? What is something that you could say to the gang community?
Ooh, that's a good one. The gang community, this is a hard question for me. And I say that because there's things I have to talk about, obviously, live with you. But I think if we all grew up here, if you grew up here, you know some gang members, right? You went to high school, something with some gang members. These are not like, for people that are not from the community, these are like just isolated individuals. Why would they this, that, and the third? But I kind of have a little bit of an understanding of almost what makes a gang member a gang member. And we talked about it. We talked about the absence of fathers in the home and having the chip on your shoulder and having to hustle and things of the sort. So I think my message to them is that I've kind of been where they are, to an extent, as far as having to deal with this LA stuff out here. And I have a genuine heart to want to see it change. We talk about boys in the hood, and it's just people that know me know this, but I was a witness to my friend's murder.
We're all black on this. Let's get
all eyes on me, cause your boy is hot. And haters keep hating as I rise to the top. I'm a champion, I'm a champion. I can't be stopped, and I'm never gonna flop. Everybody loving it, I'm getting my props. Okay, first thing first, let me ask y'all a question. What's the true meaning of a natural born legend? Cause I'm coming through to blow the competition. Lines all facts, I don't do fiction. And I'm not playing, it's more than a game. But this is no movie, I'm not LeBron James. I'm here cause my heart beats like Eddie Kane. I got love for the music, my voice spit the pain. And life is a shame, but you gotta make it work. This ain't London out here, niggas cannot wear skirts. I step in the ring, my eye on the mission. At 11 years old, this right here was my vision. Make it to the top, catch everyone's attention. And haters they can hate, as long as they listen to the words that I say as my tongue keep twisting. Heavyweight flow, you not in my division.
What up, it's your boy Paul P. I serve God, I'm not God. This is just my opinion. And welcome to another episode of the Nothin is Something podcast. So today we have someone here that I believe is very special and important to our community. Someone who is not just talking about change, but showing action when it comes to change in our community. Running for city council, the one and only JAHAN EPPS.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me today, P. I appreciate you bringing baby back out here today.
Yeah. I mean, man, it's just you here today,
right? No, it's just me. Every time I come, I feel obligated to find some good sunglasses and get the sunglasses. But I'm gonna do my interview regular. I'm not gonna be P today. I'm gonna let y'all see my eyes. But I had to come in with them. So. But no, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me back, man. I really appreciate it.
Man, it's a pleasure. You just had your debate a little while ago. So it's a pleasure, and we're gonna get into the debate.
Okay.
I just want you to know it's a pleasure to have you here, because I'm all about the community and knowing what you're doing right now, man. It's great, man, and people now are gonna get to know even more about you,
right?
And everything like that, So,
right.
I mean, how you feel?
I feel good, man. I feel good, and just thank you for taking care of that for me. For everybody that don't know, Paul P came out and hosted the debate for me. It was big. He did a great job. We're gonna have to put that film out, man, and I'm gonna post it so everybody can see. But it was a great job. You did really well, man. And I don't know if that was your first time or not, but we couldn't tell if it was, because you did really good. So
man, appreciate
I hope to see you in other forums and in that way, because we need this, and I think you have the platform that can wake up an audience that needs to be woken up to these issues. So that would be great to keep you in the loop for these things.
Man, that's what's up, man. Hey, us coming together, man. Just black men coming together, our community coming together, man. I just love that.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah. So today we're gonna do it a little differently. I usually get a guest Nothin is Something story, but today we're gonna get your story from the beginning. But we're also gonna let you talk to the people and let them know why the people should choose you when it come down to representing the city council, District 8. and everything like that, as a member of Los Angeles and everything. So with that being said, let's start from the beginning, Jahan.
Okay.
Where did you spend your childhood at?
8th District. So my family and I've been in the 8th District pretty much my whole life. Every house I've lived in, it has been literally not just in South LA, but particularly in the 8th District. Been here as long as the 40s. So like I said, I have a house and I live in the district. My mom, she has a house and she lives and owns in the district. My great-grandparents who are still alive, 87, 94, they have a house in the district. And my great-grandparents, they've passed on, but we still own their house, which is in the district. So just that amount of time since my folks came here from Louisiana. And so we've been here in this part of LA pretty much ever since.
Wow, that's amazing, man. So your family go back generations in the district.
Yeah, generations in the district for sure.
That's big.
For sure. A lot of cousins, a lot of aunties, a lot of uncles that are still here. Some have, moved on and gone other places. But this is a lot of family that I still have around here. Both sides, actually, mom and dad.
Wow. Amazing. Now, growing up, would you say like you had like a normal childhood, or was it abnormal? Because, where we grew up, people may call it the hood.
Right.
So what was your childhood like growing up?
You know what? Growing up here in LA and South LA specifically, I don't even know if we have a proper semblance of what normal is, right? Because there's certain obstacles and things that we just go through going to and fro that, kind of, not to go into my campaign and my platform while I'm running, but it's those things that we've become, I guess, comfortable with that I'm trying to change, just to walk into school. And, a lot of our kids, a lot of people here don't want their kids to go to school in the district, right? Because of the safety that it's thought of and things of the sort. So they ship their kids out, or we ship our kids out, I should say, to other schools, other school districts. And so because we're expecting their upbringing to be what we call normal, right? If this was normal that we were going through here, then it wouldn't be a push to ship everybody out, right? And so when you ask if I had a normal childhood, I can say yes and no to an extent. Yes, I had a mother, had a father, had family, had things, but normal for this area is what I would say. It'd be the more correct answer, I think.
Got you. Okay. And you said you had both parents in the household?
No, actually I did. I had both parents in the household for a certain amount of time, till about, first grade, kindergarten. They split up pretty early. So for most of the other time, I was in a single parent household with my mother.
Yeah. That's so common in our community, right? Same thing, growing up in Watts, parents broke up, after around 8-9 years old. That's what we go through in our communities and everything like that.
Yeah, that's something that's become far too normalized that I think we would all love to see changed. That we just keep the family unit together as much as possible, or have a lot less of the single parent thing going on, especially in the African American community. Yeah. So
yeah. Any siblings, brothers, sisters?
Yeah, I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. Okay. Grew up in a household with all but one, but we're all very close. A lot of people know my brothers and sisters as well, so they went to school and grew up around here. So that's just what makes it all community for me. So yeah, I have an older sister, I have 2 younger brothers, and I have a baby sister.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. So, as you get a little older, single mother household and everything, you got brothers and sisters, like around 9, 10, 11 years old. Would you say you was like a, troublemaker, or did you kind of stay out of trouble? Who was Jahan at that age?
Well, I was probably my mom's biggest problem, for sure. I'm not going to lie. I was my mom's biggest problem. She considers me her problem child. But I'm her oldest boy, and I think there's certain psychological things that come along with being, the oldest male in a single-parent household that doesn't have a father in it. One, it makes you want to take on those roles a little more. And then I would say, towards my teenage years, I realized that when it came to protection, or if somebody was to pop in the house, break in the house in the middle of the night, I got to go first, right?
Facts.
Like, we accept that at an early age, 15, 16, I'm not gonna let my mom be out here boxing with no burglar or yada, yada, yada. So it brings another, something else on your shoulders, like a unseen or describable burden that you have to start trying to fill in for a role that's missing in your household. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. And when you say that, people need to understand that's common in our community.
Yes.
I said, you know, growing up, I remember 3 or 4 times clearly somebody broke into our house while we would sleep at night. So that's common in our community. So people may say, well, how often do that happen? Where we come from, it happens a lot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And you on the clock at that point, like they say, right? Like, you know, mom's not about to get up and, I mean, she's gonna want to. My mom thinks she can. My mom still thinks she can take on the world for sure. And, you know, my baby and all that stuff. But it's like, Mom, you know, I got this. You know, or I'll have to have it at that moment. And I have little brothers and sisters, so if nothing else, I got to at least give them some run time, right?
Yeah. Facts. Facts. That's a fact, man. We all know in LA is very, you know, gang orientated, you know, when you grew up in the hoods of LA. So how did you have to deal, you know, with the gangs that you grew up around? Because I'm pretty sure you grew up around gangs and everything like that.
For sure, of course.
So how did you deal with that growing up as a young boy? You know, because you know it's gangs is, you know, it's coming at you. You know, especially if you don't have others around you, maybe older influencers that it's like, nah, stay away from. You know what I'm saying? So how did you deal with that and maneuver?
I would say the first thing that probably helped me maneuver around it was responsibilities. And I say that because I was a latchkey kid, if you're familiar with that term. So from elementary school, I had to like get my brothers and sisters home, and it became about getting them home, making sure they were straight. Like, for example, and I said this to my little sister the other day, and it's very true. So it's 4 of us that lived in the house. I got an older sister, a brother that's a year younger than me. My sister's 3 years younger than me. If my family, my mom was to come home and she see like my little sister sitting on the couch eating snacks, and then none of the rest of us are home, no problem. We're your brothers and sisters. If I'm the only person sitting home eating snacks, where's your sisters? Where's your brothers? Get out there and go get them. Like, go find them. You letting them, they're floating around out there by themselves. So I was responsible to an extent for their safety, you know, being the oldest boy. So it didn't really leave time for me to go do other things, or, you know, if I went somewhere I wasn't supposed to be, they might follow me there and put them in an unsafe situation. So just somewhat being responsible for them, safety wise, was you know, kind of kept me in the house or closer to the house a little more than I would have been on my own, for sure.
Yeah. And you know, having that responsibility as the oldest, that's a big responsibility. And you knew they was looking at you and following you, you know, because I was the oldest too, you know, when it came down to my brothers and sisters. You know, so you just know it, you feel it. You know, when moms is looking at you like, you know, if I leave you here, you know you responsible. You know, you looked at more as a kind of like a young adult early on in life, right? So you felt that responsibility, right? That's why you took on it.
Yeah, to an extent. Now I have an older sister. She's a year older, but she not catching no phase, as they say, right? Right, like she can't. Like when it comes down to it, I still have to protect her as well. So she was, you know, definitely helpful. Love her to death. But we were very close, all growing up and still. But you know, stuff like maybe I need $1 for the day. I left my lunch ticket at home. You know, I can go to my older sister. But when it came to, you know, the safety aspects of things and knowing where everybody is, that burden kind of fell upon me.
Yeah, definitely. You know, was there anything, you know, at this time of your childhood, or maybe it happened later, but anything around this time that you feel like, and maybe we're going a little bit further, but I want to ask you this: is there anything that kind of like this time drew you to one day want to, you know, run for city council and everything like that? Like at this time, you know, because you know our childhood reflect who we are later, right? So was anything going on that kind of like made you go to that place later?
That's a good question, because it's something I always had. Even as a child, I had it was an inclination or aspiration in the back of my mind. I think it seemed so overwhelming and intimidating. Like, you have to be, everything has to be just so for me to run for office. I have to be like perfect. Life got to be great. I got to be rich. And, you know, that's kind of what you think. And of course, as a kid, you think you're going to have the best life, of course, anyway. But I think the opposite was true. The fact that everything wasn't good, and that the city is, that's my opinion, from my, you know, the district is not doing well, and et cetera, et cetera. The opposite actually encouraged me to run, because I saw a need for things to be changed. And I saw that, or I feel like that we need more of, especially long-term residents, we need more of an advocate to make sure that, of course, we're welcoming in all of the new residents. Like, I'm it's all good, right?
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot of long-term residents that are feeling like pushed out. They don't feel like they have equity in the community. And we want to welcome the new without pushing out the old, is how I would say.
Gotcha.
Welcome the new, but don't push out the old. You know,
and that's important because we see that's happening a lot.
Yeah,
nowadays. So,
absolutely.
So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
So now as you get a little older, 13, 14 years old, that's usually like when we we start to find our gifts, and start to kind of like know what direction we want to go in life and everything, right?
Right.
What was you doing at this time? Was it sports? Was it music? Was it drawing? Like what was you doing at this time?
It was more so sports for me first.
Okay.
So I never saw myself as a active type person in these things. I was like, I'm go to the league or something, that's like everybody else. I wasn't sitting here thinking like, I'm gonna be a councilman or things like that. So that was actually, when you ask what kept me away as far as navigating the gangs, I mean, a lot of us start off with hoop dreams and things of the sort, and we don't want to put anything in the way that might hinder that,
Facts.
And sometimes it takes for us for that to go away or that reality not to come before we all right, well, I avoided all of this because I was doing that before, but if that dream is not there anymore, then you start, oh, well, maybe I could have been hanging out, yada, yada, yada. But thankfully, at least at those ages, I had, sports to keep me occupied for the most part.
Okay. What sport was it mainly?
Basketball mainly.
Okay. A hooper.
Basketball mainly, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, coming from LA and everything like that. I mean, because we were around the same age.
Yeah.
So was it Kobe you was looking at? Who was it?
I mean Jordan, Kobe. All of that. Kind of stuff. We was a little more Jordan. Like it's half and half. It's half and half because we
in LA.
Yeah,
more Jordan.
Well, you got to when Kobe, I was in maybe junior high.
Yeah,
when Kobe came out, so you got to understand. All until then, it was Jordan. And so
that's true.
It's a transition that happened for us somewhere in between. But yes, Jordan, then Kobe.
Yeah.
So and then God rest his soul. Of course, that was a hard loss for LA for sure. So God rest. Since we're speaking on the man, God rest his soul. And I know, have you seen the statue in
Oh man, it's dope. And they supposed to have 3 of them.
Yeah, I want to see what the other ones are. I think no one's gonna be with his daughter. That was really tragic. I mean, not to get off topic, but
no.
The daughter, like God rest her soul as well. That actually maybe hurt me more than him. But she was such young and had so much life ahead of her. So
definitely
hate to see kids go out like that.
Yeah. I mean, and start getting off topic, man. Kobe was L.A.
Absolutely.
Gigi, L.A. This is L.A., man. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I gotta say though, around this time, and I move forward. I was an Anthony Hardaway fan too.
Oh yeah.
When
Penny.
Jordan was out, I was Penny over Jordan. But when Kobe came, it was all Kobe.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And this is when he had the bald head. 17, 18 years old. You feel me?
Yeah.
But
I just want to say, since you brought that up, you know what? That was like one gift I remember. The crazy part about it, this gift got stolen like the first day I wore it, but I begged my parents for an Anthony Hardaway jersey. Begged them. It was the Christmas present, number 1. First day wore it at school, took it off somewhere, gone.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance to do it. But yes, Anthony Hardaway, when he was a guy, he was the guy.
Yeah. Nah, he was the guy, man. He was definitely the guy. So, yeah. Okay, so you're a basketball fan.
Yeah,
okay, I see it. I feel it. You know what I'm saying? So, you sometimes events happen when we're at this age, 13, 14, preteens and then teenagers that, moves us later on in life. Was you witnessing things like violence, police injustice, crimes, poverty? What was you witnessing around this age, that made you so passionate later on in life with wanting to, run for city council and everything like that? Was anything going on around you that you could see?
I mean, the riot started down the street from my house. What better way could I say that? Yeah, I mean, it was just LA, tumultuous LA at the time. I grew up on Florence, so that was just down the street. So yeah, there were plenty of things, and the city was shut down for weeks. I remember those kind of things. We
didn't go to school for a minute.
I was liking it. I ain't like, school, no problem.
Because we didn't really understand what was going on. So just not having to go to school, we was cool.
And then, even though we were kids, I don't think we personally felt in danger because we knew it was the skin thing. Like, okay, we got the right. Nobody's going to attack us, So it was just, we home. For the time being. So I would just say just the normal, LA, as kids, the first time I can remember losing somebody, maybe to gang violence, I was maybe about 14, 15, you know, and it just continued on. It increased as we got older. So yeah, I mean, it's just a violent area. My brother, growing up, and we talk about this, he's my little brother. He 11 years in the Army, right? And we had a conversation about, like, you know, people that he knew passing and going, and he went to the Army straight to 17. I didn't go to the Army. I, you know, stayed out here, and then we almost know about the same amount of dead people, you know, and taking the surveys. You know, and I know they say, like, in South or the hood areas that people have PTSD, and so we were diving into that conversation. It's like, yeah, you was active military, Iraq, Afghanistan. I probably shouldn't have the same amount of friends that are not here that you have, you know. But that's just when you ask about those, it affects all of our lives. And I think when you ask about me running and what my reasons are and things of the sort, tired of these type of things. You know, they are somewhat in our power to change, and if they're not, we got to at least try, right? And we become so oblivious to it that I grew up through that. There's more kids growing up to that. I mean, look, I came with, you know, and I came with Quincy Reese today, and his son. You interviewed him several times, so to see that same narrative playing out 30 years later, it's like, it's crazy. And we've become oblivious to all of these things. We've become oblivious that the murder rate is what it is, or the crime rate is what it is. We become oblivious to the gang problems. We become oblivious to the fact that streetlights are out, that, oh, LA just has potholes. Oh, we just don't send our kids here. We just don't. We become oblivious, and instead of anybody stepping up and saying, hey, we need to fix it, it's time to fix it, we've just adjusted. And so as a person that's been here my whole life, and, you know, even in school, when we're at school, hey, when you guys don't like it, when you get older, run for office, change something. Well, I was a kid that was listening, you know, so now I'm older, I'm running for office, I'm trying to change something, you know. So good or bad, win or lose, I will feel gratified in that I at least tried, you know, like I gave it a good try. It was campaigning is not for the weak. Let's just say that. And I've been at it a year. I haven't worked like normal, you know, like nothing's normal, you know. It's 7 days a week. On the weekends when I might want to be hanging out or chilling, I'm at a book fair or a turkey giveaway or a toy drive. So it's not a lot of downtime. So on one hand, you know, March 5th causes me a little anxiety. I'm a first-time politician. But on the other hand, I'm like, whew, at least I could take a breath.
You here.
Absolutely. Like, I'm on the other side, you know, so win or lose. But I mean, I'm pretty optimistic though.
Yeah. And you coming up in the community and just understanding, like you say, you talk to your brother and y'all know about around the same amount of people who passed away. I want people to understand, like, you know, growing up where we grew up at, it's a blessing to still be here. It's no guarantee.
Nah.
We don't look at it like that. Nah. You know what I'm saying? You know, so I'm pretty sure when it come down to you recognize that.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that make you be so passionate about what you're doing, because hey, if God got me here, I'm gonna make sure that I'm giving back.
Yeah, right.
You know, and doing what I gotta do, because it's a lot of fallen soldiers and individuals we grew up with that's not here, and I'm gonna get up every day and move for them.
Period.
You know what I'm saying?
Period.
The people that's here too, but move in the name of them.
Period.
You get what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's funny you say that, because that is a big part of my motivation. Like, I do have very close friends of mine who are passed on from that type of violence, and they cross my mind often as I'm doing things. Like, you know, you got to live. They don't have they're not here to experience, you know, so I want to make sure I live to the fullest and make the most of the life that I have left. Absolutely.
Definitely. So now as we get into high school, so you went to Crenshaw High?
I went to Crenshaw High for most of my high school career.
Okay, loving basketball. I actually went to a number of high schools. Okay.
Yeah, I went to about, in total, 5 high schools.
Yeah.
So I moved around some, and all within the same area, but I spent most of my years, about 2 years at Crenshaw, where, you know, that's the alumni that I associate with.
Okay.
That's my community, you know, realistically.
Okay. And did you hoop at Crenshaw High too?
No, I didn't. I didn't stay there really long enough, in and out, because I started there, I left, I came back, I left. So my childhood wasn't as how can you say, stable. Yeah. You know, especially those high school years were very kind of unstable, because for a period of time I was I was in the system, like a ward of the court. Yeah. So it caused a lot of moving around. I did, you know, but that's kind of what stopped the basketball stuff as well too, because I'm here this week, I'm here the next semester, I'm here, yada, yada, yada. So it was just other things going on outside of school that just hindered that whole path. But, you know, like I said, yes, Crenshaw is where I spent the most time.
Yeah.
That's where my support system comes from. That's the reunions I attend, all that good stuff.
Dope.
Absolutely.
That's what's up. You know, talk about that a little bit too, Jahan. You know, being awarded to the court, like, where was your mindset at this time going through all of that as a young teenage boy, you know, and everything? Where was you at mentally at this time?
Dang, that's a good question. Because I got to kind of like, you know, put my mind back to that. But it just made me a very independent person. I didn't like it at the time. I wondered why I went through it. But it made me very resilient, and it made me able to, you know, handle change, be able to adapt, you know, things of the sort. So as much as I didn't like it while it was happening, the skill sets that I was able to acquire from it, I wouldn't give back, if that makes any sense. I wouldn't give them back.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's real big, man. You know, also too at this time, it's where like a lot of us, you know, as teenagers start to get molded.
Right.
Molded because of what's going on around us. I always say I wanted to hustle because all my uncles were hustlers.
Right.
Everyone around me was out just hustling. Every day it was the next hustle. What's this hustle? So I wanted to be a hustler and get money.
Right.
I didn't know what I wanted to do. You know, now I knew I loved basketball,
Right.
like you, right? I knew I loved music, but I knew I wanted to go out there and hustle, right?
Right.
At this time, what was you becoming? You know, and of course that could change later in life, right?
Right.
But what was you becoming at this time?
Definitely hustling. Okay. Definitely. And not even for, I mean, if anybody asks why, they're like, I was hungry. I don't mean like hungry in the mind. I mean my physically hungry. And not to say that my parents were bad or anything like that. They fed me, but it was 4 of us and 3 of us in high school at a time, right? So lunch money could be expensive for 3 or 4 kids, you know, every day, dub a day, you know, $40, $50 a day. So it wasn't always feasible to think, oh, mom's just giving us all $5, $10 a day for lunch. You know, we got the little, you know, you get the tickets and stuff, but if you don't eat that, which most of us don't, right? We might pick at it, but you know, it's like, hey, look, I want to go to McDonald's after school. I want to, you know, so it puts something in you to go out there and start figuring out how to get it or get it on your own. So, you know, from I started working early as well too. I had my first job at 15.
Okay, same thing.
You know
what I'm saying?
You start finding ways to get the things you want, clothes, shoes, whatever else. You find a way. Yeah. In high school, we all start trying to find a way one way or another. Yep.
Definitely, man. You know, I can see too. We share a lot of similarities. I started working early too. Yeah. I was like, I want to get a whip now.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Before I even have my license.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what it is.
Yeah. You know, you're thinking about them dates before you can even take them, right? And you got hair on your chest. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna take such and such out. Yeah. So we, you know, definitely hustling early as much as you can, as much as I could. But you know, it's just a lot of stuff going on. It wasn't a lot of stability. We find our ways at those early age as much as we can, right?
Yeah, definitely. You know, going to school, you know, in the hood, you know, during this time and everything like that. Did you ever have to deal with like trouble of the gangs, or was trouble being brought your way? Did you have any instances of things that happened?
I mean, you know, when we was growing up, they called it the rough, tough, and dangerous, right? Mm-hmm. So just like getting on the bus, going to and fro, and I even put that in my opening statement. Like, do you guys feel comfortable? The district starts basically. I ain't gonna say starts, but the widest part of the district goes from like from Van Ness, from Crenshaw to about almost the 10 freeway. Yeah. And in certain spaces past it, but I'm just talking about the widest place. Now, if I offered you guys a chance to walk from Crenshaw to Figueroa, how comfortable you feel like you're gonna be able to make it without altercation, intimidation, anything? And most people, again, this is another thing we become oblivious to, but I can promise you most grown black men will not feel completely safe or comfortable taking off from one side of South LA to the other side of South LA and, you know, walk with a whistle and a song in their heart. It's like, no, they're going to be on the lookout. Like, you know, so these are more of the things, like I said, growing up here that we all become unfortunately used to. And I don't see any of our politicians now making a real effort to change it. It's like it's the status quo. It's like, just give them enough to, you know, say we're trying this, that, and the third. But the real changes that we need, I don't think are really being worked on as much, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, you broke that down. Definitely, Jahan. You know, right. So you eventually graduate, right?
Yes.
You know, so right after, you know, we get out of school, especially as young men, you know, we know life start to immediately change for us.
Immediately.
You know, because now we know we got to get out there and make something happen.
Immediately.
As young black men, nobody about to let us sit up in nobody's house.
Absolutely.
We'll be out there on the streets.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know, so what direction did your life go in?
So and that's funny you say that, because I have this conversation with you know, the students at all, especially the seniors. I've been up to Crenshaw High, and I'm like, hey, you know, the day after you graduate, what are you going to do? Right? You graduate on a Saturday, Sunday, Monday morning rolls by. You don't got to get up and go to school. If you didn't ship off to college, what are you doing? And I can tell you, I didn't do nothing good that next Monday, right? Like nothing productive, didn't know what to do with myself. You just kind of felt like something was going to fall out the sky. So when I first graduated, I kind of hung around for a little while. And then my father, he was living out of state. So I joined him out of state for about a year. You know, productive for a little while, found trouble out there as well. But, you know, like I got out of, my thing was to get out of LA right away, because I thought I was too, even as an 18-year-old, I thought I was too impressionable and that I was too like hungry. And I was like, yeah, let me go get some lessons on life before I just go out here full blast, you know, all gas, no brakes. And so I left town for a little bit to try to, you know, get myself together and learn things about life. And I was gone for about a year. And then I came back, started doing real estate right away. I've been doing real estate since I was 19. So, and then this year, 2024, I will have been licensed as a real estate professional for 20 years.
Nice.
So, like, I found that through some mentors that I had, in the streets. They were doing real estate, so they brought me that to my attention, and it was just kind of funny because when it was first brought to me, I was like, who's going to buy real estate from us? like, you see how we look? I got my hat to the back, you know, like, it's like, you know, but they thankfully, and that's why mentors are important. They kind of brought me up, groomed me. I checked into West LA City College, and I started my education process, and I end up taking some real estate classes and getting my AA in the long run from West LA, and just real estate kind of almost saved my life to an extent. And I say that because as a young age, I was able to make a certain amount of money that I probably could not duplicate in the streets or any other type of way. You know what I mean? Yeah. Those commission checks, especially for a person that young, was pretty nice.
And you know what? I want to ask you, because you brought it up. What state did you move to?
Oklahoma.
Okay, you was in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I was in Oklahoma.
You know,
yeah.
Hey, people need to know. Hey, when we come from this type of environment and everything like that, we tried. Same thing with me.
Yeah.
I left around 19. I left to go to Arizona for a couple of years.
Right.
And when I came back, that's when I started my first business.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
And it ended up being because it takes the desperation. You know, when you're 18 and you don't got nothing going, and you're trying to figure it out, you don't want to be out here desperate. Like that's not good. You know? Yeah. That's a formula for trouble. So yeah, it's good. We all go out, get ourselves together. And then plus just leaving LA like that for the first time, it gave me an idea of how other people live. You know, like, okay, this gang stuff ain't just everybody's reality. This ain't normal, like, you know. Yeah. So I was able to prioritize different, if that make any sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it was West LA. Did you go to get your BA, or you just got right into real estate after getting your AA?
You know what? I was already doing real estate, and I did not jump right into college right after the fact because, like I said, I was already, you know, doing pretty well. Like, I bought my first house at 22. So I had a mortgage.
You was doing it.
I had a mortgage. And so, like, you know, as much as I wanted to, like, continue school at certain points of time, it was like, well, either I'm going to be in class or I'm going to be earning this money. So it did keep me away from college for a certain period of time until the collapse happened. I know we all remember that. 2008, 2007 collapse.
Yeah.
Right. And then all of the real estate professionals and everybody who didn't have enough skills to go get $100,000 job on their own, they all checked back into school because that's the type of money we were making. That's what we needed to afford our bills, right? So when the market collapsed, I could not go and get a job that would make me the type of money that I was equivalent to what I was making because I didn't have a college degree. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm glad this happened to me early in life because I was still in my 20s. Because if this has happened to me 15, 20 years later, I can't just tell Jay Jr. he can't have a pair of shoes or we can't feed him, you know? So I need to go, you know, enhance my skills and, you know, make a better value for myself in the workforce. So at that point, I did go back to school, finished up, at least that's when I finished up my AA, because I was kind of, skip choppy with that in the first place. And eventually I went and checked into Cal State LA, or eventually I was able to transfer to Cal State LA, where I was majoring in chemistry, which has nothing to do with what I was doing.
You went into a totally different direction.
Absolutely nothing to do with that. Yeah, so, and I was actually, nibbling at this chemistry degree up until the pandemic happened, and so that degree is somewhat still in process. I was working in a lab, at the school, so, I was fully immersed in that. But of course, that's another thing. Again, it's hard to make money and go to school, especially when you got a major like that. So I had so much time I had to be at school, so much time I had to study, so much time I had to be in the lab, and then I still had to, get a full income. So. It's definitely, like you said, for us black males, we don't necessarily have the support system all the time to keep climbing, So, 18, 19, and all, that's what to circle it back, and that's what I'm telling the seniors and the men that are going to be grown men now. It's like, hey, 18, they give you a little pass, 19. Don't nobody want no 22, 23, 24-year-old black man laying up on their couch.
Not at all.
Their pass is gone by then,
on,
Now, the girls, my sisters,
they good.
No pressure, but us as black men, we got, 2-3 years max?
Yeah. Clock ticking.
Clock is ticking. So, and that's the pressure that's on. And I think that's, part of the issue in itself. And I get it. Nobody want another grown man in their house. But yeah, that's part of the issue, especially on our males. They are forced or feel forced or pressured to get out and figure it out really early.
Definitely. So did you eventually get back into real estate, or did you, kind of switch it up?
Never stopped.
Okay.
I stopped maybe for like a year or two because it was down. You know what I mean? I had to.
Yeah.
But what I've learned about real estate is the business of real estate never stops. It shifts, right? So, at one point in time, everybody's doing this. Everybody's doing loans, and then the next thing I know, everybody is doing modifications, and the next thing I know, everybody's doing listing. So the business just shifts, and you are supposed to be able to, over time, you're supposed to be able to shift with the business as you learn different aspects of it. So that was the time for me to learn to shift. Nice. When it first hit me, I didn't know how to deal with it because I came straight out making a lot of money. And when you're a young man, you're like, oh, this is going to last forever.
Yep.
This is never going to end. And so when it finally ended, it was like, oh, what do I do? I couldn't figure, I had to try to go figure it out because, technically at the time I was making more money than my parents, so it's like, I'm feeling myself.
Yeah.
Definitely left some room for me to have to go and, figure some things out and reinvent myself.
Yeah. But that's how I can also tell that you was a hustler. You knew how to make things happen. You wasn't going to go sit down and cry about it. You kept moving, maneuvered, whether that was school or eventually get back into real estate, but you figured it out.
Yeah. I lost and came back a couple times.
and, but that's a winner right there. That's what people need to understand. It ain't about fall. We going to all fall. Yeah. It's about how you get back up.
Absolutely.
That's really what it's about. Everybody just look at the win. I'm like, nah, don't just look at the win. I want to see what happened when you fall.
Yep.
And when you fail, what you did, man, that's big. You kept it pushing.
Get back up. Keep it pushing.
Yeah.
Nobody's coming to save us.
Yeah, not at all.
Again, going back to the campaign, nobody's coming to save us.
Man,
we got to save ourselves.
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer in that, And so even though I don't feel like I was necessarily the, temperament to run for office, it was something that needed to be done, and I just felt like nobody was coming to save us.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, Crenshaw, Washington, Dorsey, these are all the schools that are around. Manual Arts, they've had 60 years worth of class presidents, 60 years worth of student body presidents, treasurers. I wasn't that guy in high school. Shouldn't one of them be running? Like,
it never falls that way.
It never falls that way, right? So it's just kind of that's the weird part to me. I would never think that I was the most likely person, especially not in school, to do any of this type of stuff. But hey, here we are. Certain times when you see things needed to be done, either you're gonna step up as a man and try to do something about it, or you just gonna step over and leave it for the next person.
Man, that's a fact. So eventually, talking about campaigning and everything, you eventually get into politics and want to run for city council.
Yeah.
Talk about what led up to that. Also talk about what age you was around this time and what led up to you now wanting to run for city council.
That's a good question. I guess a couple of things. One was the change in the market. As a real estate professional, when I was out showing homes, I noticed the gentrification going on early, and I noticed that a lot of long-term residents were being displaced by it. Again, gentrification on the surface is not really a problem, right?
Yeah.
Because, and I'm going to explain that, right? Because if you own something and the value goes from this and increases to higher, theoretically, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
It's only a bad thing when you don't have equity, right? When you don't have any ownership in it, when you don't have equity in the community, you don't have equity in the thing that's increasing in value, that's when it becomes a bad thing. So it's too many of us around here that don't have equity. And so when the values increased, instead of it benefiting us as much as it should, it locked some of us out. You know, and that's what's going on now. You know, it should be benefiting all of us. It's benefited some of our parents and grandparents because they were able to get in years ago. But my generation, the next generation that want to come up, they feel essentially locked out because they just can't deal with the prices. So I was seeing that, and I actually started shooting a documentary on gentrification, and in the research that I went through, just putting the documentary together, it just it gave me a lot of knowledge, and I learned a lot of things. You know how sometimes you learn things and you can't go back?
Yeah.
It was really a lot of that for me. Like I learned, and I just couldn't go back to normal. Once I knew what I knew. In the documentary, I was comparing Black LA to the collapse of Black Wall Street. And I noticed a lot of similarities, and I kind of figured what the I can't get that word out now. Similarities were, and I tried to make some changes and some some edits. Because like I said, again, we're welcoming the new people, but we don't want the old folks to feel pushed out.
That's a fact, man. And I like how you keep on saying that. You know, it let everyone know that I'm really passionate about this.
Absolutely,
because this is what we seen.
I'm gonna sound like a broken record.
Yeah, it's okay. Drill it in them. Drill it, man.
I'm gonna sound like a broken.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah.
You know, now just gotta, talking about campaigning and you now being a candidate when it comes down to city council, I just have a couple of questions. I say this is questions from the community, right? You know, the hoods, the ghetto, the streets.
Right. Okay.
Not the world.
Not the world.
Where we come from.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
I hope I'm ready.
Yeah. So just a couple. First, we deal with a lot of violence in our community.
Right.
We know that. One of the biggest topics, I talked about on this platform that started off shaky, but brought me a good friend, Q up in there now, that led me to meet you,
Absolutely.
Was the murder of high school basketball star Quincy Reese.
Right.
Quincy Reese Jr.
Absolutely.
As we know, he was murdered last year. This case is still not being solved, and it took an important it took an important young man who was going to change the community, one day. It took his life, a very, very important young man's life. You know what I'm saying? So what is something that you could do if you win to help prevent these young men from getting killed, so young Black, men in our communities won't fear, growing up in the communities, going to school in the communities and everything like that? I'm not saying that you could, go out there and just change that, but what is something that you feel you could do to help prevent things like this from happening?
Good question. And before I go into that question, I do just want to touch on Quincy Reese Jr. and say that we are still looking for his killer. And if anybody has any information, please do come forward. From what I understand, they have increased the reward to $100,000. Not that anybody would be doing it for money, but I just want to give that moment and make sure that message gets across that we are still hurting over here. And that if we have a way to, if you guys have any information that can help, we would really appreciate it. So that's that. But as far as what we can do to, help and give, it's just really give the kids other options, give them other things to do, give them other choices. I think some of the problem is financial, and I think some of it is educational. So one of the first things I do, what I notice is we are quick to give the police a raise, but much less quicker to give the teachers a raise, right? And if we want our kids to come out a certain way and we want to make sure that they're being trained, why are we paying the people to lock them up and not paying the people to train and educate them? So that's where it starts. And because we do have, city councilmen, we do vote on budget. I think the teachers have been clamoring for a raise for a while, and they can't seem to get one, but we've given the police like 2 or 3. Yeah. So what are we investing in, right? You get back what you invest in, and you as a businessman, you know that, right?
Oh yeah.
If I invest in education, then I'm going to get more educated people.
Yes.
If I invest in police, then I'm going to get a more police people, right? And so we don't want a more police people. We want a more educated person. And then also we took a lot of programs out of the schools that was making the kids job ready. I know we have like 1 in 6 jobs in the city that are unfulfilled. Everything from sheet metal workers to the street light, and a lot of these jobs start at $50,000 plus, to lifeguards. Why I would like to see them actually going to the schools in May and April and doing recruiting for the kids that don't have college acceptance letters, right? Because by May, you know if you're accepted or not. And like you said, as opposed to them being out here on the streets trying to figure it out the next day, hey, day you graduate on Monday, come right in here and start your apprentice program, whether it be roofing, electrical, this, that, and the third, because we can kill that time of them being on the street and finding other unnecessary things to do. So how they say, a idle mind is a devil's playground. So you got to occupy their minds first, and just change that. And there's not a lot of stuff to do around here. It's not, we don't have a lot. What after school programs would you send your kids to? Stuff like that. We don't have a lot to occupy the kids' minds. So we have to occupy their minds and get it on other things, more productive things. And I think especially when kids are, doing the hobbies that they want. We all have hobbies, whether it's art, basketball, football, whatever it is. Fashion designer, nail tech. If you take a kid and let them get a chance to do their talent or what they like, in their downtime, then that's probably going to be their focus, not going out there and tearing up and this, that, and the third. But a lot of us, we don't have the access or the funds to be able to live in our talents, like how Nipsey said, he knew he was a genius, just didn't have the platform to explain it.
Facts.
So a lot of them are out here looking for that platform, and, they're going to keep sometimes damaging things until they find it.
Yeah. Wow. Great answer, man. You explained that well. We are still seeing, a serious division in our community and racism, when it comes to, black men and the cops in the hood and in the streets and everything like that. What can you do, if anything, to bring, young black men and cops together instead of seeing black men killed or set up in this corrupt system that they call the law?
That's a good question. You got a lot of good questions for me today, P. I just want to say,
I'm trying to lay it out for you, man, so you can let the people know, break it down for them. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I think we need to be more comfortable with policing our own, and that means that includes hiring more people from the community to be police officers. I know right now it's not the popular thing to do. It's all of this, and that's kind of why I hate, and I'm gonna use the word hate. I hate all of this. Excuse my term, because I'm not trying to come for anybody, but all this fake gangsterism that's going on all of these podcasts and websites, because you're perpetrating. Oh, this person's a snitch. That person's a snitch. Don't bruh. You know what I mean? This is, so of course, what are the kids going to think? I don't want to be called this. I don't want to be that. And it's not about being called a stitch. It's about protecting your environment, your family. Just because it could be your mom, it could be your sister, So we just want to live in a safe community. Forget all of the, the snitch talk and this, that, and the third. I mean, we can police our own, but I think it's going to start with us encouraging more of our own to join the police, because we got people policing us that don't look like us. I was actually in my neighborhood the other day, and I was going to the corner store like we all do, whatever, and there was somebody being arrested, right? They had raided somebody's house. I'm looking at the police officers, none of them look like me. They all outside laughing and joking and high-fiving. You're like, oh, we got us one. And so, from the outside looking in, that doesn't make us want to feel like, they're here for us or with us. They look like, I don't know, like we're prey or something, So we have to, one, again, encourage more of our people to join. And two, I think we have to just kind of bridge the gap. I don't mind if it comes from our side first. If we have to get in a room or sit down and just kind of have that conversation with police officers. I know it's also been talking about having an independent commission, citizen commission to be oversight. I'm all ideas that can come in that I think that can work. I'm ready to try realistically, but I think one of the most important things is just making sure that the police look a little more like us, because now when you're roughing somebody up, or even when you're taking somebody to jail, it's like, oh, that's John or Susie, not like just a John Doe, you know, or, you know, so it's a little more personal, and you're going to handle them a little differently if it's people you know versus people you don't, or feel attached to, or any type of similarity, anything, you know what I mean? Versus the people that I think policing us now don't see themselves in us.
Yeah, man, that's a fact, man. That's definitely a fact. You know, you kind of mentioned it earlier, you know, a little bit. You touched on it, but right now we have absolutely no programs, you know, slim to none. You know, I'm not going to say absolutely none, but we like right there when it come down to like the communities we grew up in, like we see in Beverly Hills, you know, and even like West LA and places like that for teenagers that can help them, you know, learn trades, you know, skills, you know, and be prepared for not just high school, but be prepared for college, be prepared to get out there and get a job. If they don't want to go to college, maybe they want to go and take a trade or something. There's nothing that's preparing them for these things, you know. What do you think can help solve that issue?
Literally bringing the trades back into the school, and like I said about the hiring process, I know a lot of these city jobs, and I don't know why that is, and this is something I would really want to find out, but they have like seasonal hiring time. You know, it's like, oh, the application is going to open from, you know, January to February. I'm like, do people not need jobs in March or something? Or are we full? And we're not, because we have a lot of city jobs that are unfulfilled. So I don't understand the whole process of having it at a certain point of time or a seasonal that we even let people apply for these jobs. But secondly, if we are going to do something seasonally, I would definitely like to do something specific to the high school kids. And I said, again, going into the schools in May, after most of them have received admissions letters. Who's not going to college? You, and you. Okay, well, we have an electrician program. You can come in, you can get paid. You can get, you know, apprentice pay until you're finished with the program, and you get real pay. And instead of some of these 18, 19-year-olds becoming a burden to their parents, imagine them bringing in 5 salaries straight out of high school instead of sitting on the couch asking for money, whatever else that might come along with it. And, you know, we have our parents are still taking care of some of their kids until 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah. Now this changes things around economically, because 18, 19, you have another wage earner, significant wage earner in the house that can help as opposed to be a burden.
Man. That's big. I mean, that right there, like you just said, that'd change so much.
Absolutely.
Just being able, you know, put those certain things in our community to help the 18, 19, and 20-year-olds right after they get out of high school to be able to bring that income into, you know, their households.
Put them right to work.
Yeah,
right. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
You know, good answer, man. You know, you mentioned this also a little bit, you know, but we need to also provide more higher paying jobs,
right,
you know, in our community. How do you think we can do that? Because, you know, right now we got a WIC building, a county building, a Section 8 building, and we got those all in the community, right? Mm-hmm. But when it comes down to jobs and trade schools, we don't really see many of those, right?
Right.
So how can we, you know, fix that issue right there?
Well, that's why I'm running on economic empowerment, because that is probably one of our biggest issues to me. The economy in South LA is broken. It's literally broken, right? And I can explain that in a little more detail. Let's compare it to, you know, another city's economy. Do you think that you would have a problem if there was a vacancy, a commercial building that was vacant on Melrose? You think it would be a problem somebody coming in and filling it up and leasing it?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Because, you know, when it come down to, for one, the city's very different,
right,
you know, it's more diverse on that side, you know, and the economy is better over there.
The economy is better.
You know?
So if I have to go and occupy a commercial building in one of these other spaces, it's not going to sit for long, because I know I'm gonna get the foot traffic. I know I can be successful over here. Now, compare that to LA. You go down Western, you go down Manchester, go down Florence, go down Vermont. How many commercial buildings do we have boarded up?
Almost all, at least 80%.
What is that? That should be a telltale sign of what the economy, because this wouldn't happen in an area where the economy was booming, right? It'd be too much money to be made for all of this stuff to be like that. And some of these buildings have been boarded up since the 92 riots, for real.
Yeah, that's right? A fact. That's a fact.
So, you know, when you talk about jobs, we're supposed to have jobs locally. We don't have any jobs in the 8th district where you can work in the 8th district and live in the 8th district. We don't have those there's no law offices, or not too many, you know, law offices or things that you might see on Wilshire or something like that, where it's like, oh, well, I work here, I work downtown at this building, and I live down the street there, you know, because you cannot make enough money in the 8th district to live here. What are you going to be doing? And so we have to fix the economy first. And once we fix the economy and we have all of these 80% of these buildings are filled up with businesses, guess what businesses have to hire? Employees.
Definitely.
Those are your jobs right there. And especially, the high school kids and stuff like that, they don't have jobs. I had a job in high school. You had a job in high school.
Yeah.
But, they're competing with adults for those jobs now.
Yeah.
That's why they were so, in my opinion, so much about raising the minimum wage, because we didn't care about, for the minimum wage for fast food, right? We wasn't, but now it's to the point where adults are competing with high school kids for these jobs. And it's like, nah, this is not enough to take care of a family. I need you to improve the wage. It's an issue now, right?
Yeah.
So, I think the first thing is to fix the economy. And speaking of which, if I can get off topic a little bit, not off topic, but on topic, but I want to talk about a program I'm doing.
Do your thing.
Since I have this platform right now, it's called District 8 Rewards. Okay. And it's a rewards system that I set up or that I've been setting up in order to so businesses can benefit and have more business. Along with that documentary I was telling you about in the fall of Black Wall Street and comparing it to here, what I really found out was the fall of Black Wall Street was not a riot, right? Like after the riot, they rebuilt Black Wall Street in 8 months. And that's what most people don't know, right? Or I don't hear them talking about it. And they went right back to booming. What happened was when segregation was over and they had the ability to spend their dollar outside of the community, they did just that. And that's what collapsed the society. They had what's called a captive dollar, meaning that when I tried to go to, when I tried to go eat at a white-only dinner counter, what do you think they said to me?
Get the hell about it.
When I tried to go to the white-only movie theater, what do you think they said to me?
Get about it.
So where do you think I had to spend my money with? In my own community.
Us.
Now, we don't have to spend our money in our own community, and those things have been stopped. So I say all of that to say that I am trying to incentivize and get us to start spending money in our own community again. So it is a favorable place to start business. So people will want to come down here and open up shop again. So we started a program called the District 8 Rewards. And the way that works is I have a lot of businesses or a couple of businesses that are participating. You can go get the information on my website. It's going to be uploaded by Friday. JEPS 2024. JEPPS 2024. And basically the way it works are businesses, people in the neighborhood can get a membership card, and businesses in the neighborhood are agreeing to give discounts and incentives for people shopping there. So, excuse me. Think about it like AAA, right? You got a AAA card. You go on to travel somewhere. It's like, oh, I can go to Hertz or Enterprise, but Thrifty Rental Car says I get the same car, but they're gonna give me a free tank of gas. Or Fox Rental Car says I can get the same thing, but I'm gonna get 10% off. So that will lead you to try another business or go another avenue that you, instead of maybe another name, because there's an incentive for you going there. My rewards points, cash points. So the way the District 8 Rewards works is a lot of businesses have come in and decided to or agreed to give an incentive if for members who have the card. And so that's it. They have already agreed. So I give the names on the business. Never Too Much Wireless is going to get $5 off every time you want to get your phone repaired. Black Beverly Hills Clothing Brand is going to get 15% off, every time you shop. Baba's Vegan Cafe is 10% off every time you shop. Last Trap, $10 off on your first visit. Sloss and Taco Pete, 8% off every time you visit. So it goes on and on and on. And it's basically to incentivize people to spend their money here. Everything from Purple Passion photo booth to, I could sit here and name all of the businesses, which I'm purposely shouting y'all out. Hopefully y'all go look them up on Instagram.
That's what's up.
I purposely set that up. But definitely look out and check out these businesses. Even my cousin, he has Rich Boy Sports. He's a boxing trainer. So, anything from plumbing to roofing to whatever. It's a whole list of businesses that are participating that will give incentives for you guys agreeing to shop locally. So I'm hoping that will bring a lot more attention and keep money here in the district and keep people recycling money amongst themselves.
Man, that's big. That's big. Everything you said, man. That's what we need to be talking about more when it comes down to those type of things and everything. And I want to say something because you mentioned it a little bit earlier. I want people to know how real what you said in regards to like a lot of the buildings that were burnt and got shut down during the riots are still, in the same position in place that it was in at that particular time. I go to just to touch on it quick, I grew up in Watts, and I still to this day go to Turner's Market, off of Central. It's a building right across from it and a building right behind of it that is still in the same condition that it was in since '93.
How crazy is
You
that?
get what I'm saying? You know for a fact in communities, Beverly Hills, you know, West LA, Thousand Oaks, any of these other places, right? You know for a fact a building wouldn't be down like that for a month.
No. But
Over 20 years. You get what I'm saying?
That's the economy.
Where it's majority us. And Hispanics too, you
Yep.
know, but a lot of us, right?
Yep.
You wouldn't see that anywhere else, and I think people need to know more of things like this. You know,
Yeah.
Who's not in those communities and areas.
Yeah.
You know, it got to be us who change that.
Absolutely.
You know,
it has to be us. And I mean, there's other things. I mean, we do need some. It's two things I say, and we have to change our mentality. And then we do need, you know, it's still discrimination and things going on. Obviously,
Yes.
right. But first and foremost, the mentality change is that we'll see a building that'll be dilapidated or, you know, on the corner or empty lot for, like you said, since the riots. Nobody wants to start a business there. Then the next thing you know, Jack in the Box got it. And there's a line around the corner. Right?
Yeah.
So as soon as the Jack in the Box open, there's a line around the corner. So it's like those are the only businesses we could feel comfortable opening up. Liquor stores, smoke shops. Jack in the Box. Where's the spa? Where's the roller skating ring? Where's the pottery barn? Can we get anything else but liquor stores and smoke shops, please? Yeah. So that's the one thing we have to watch where we want to spend our money at. You know, we have to be conscious of that as long as Jack in the Box feel like they can open up on any corner and be successful, they're going to continue to do so. And this is not a shot at Jack in the Box or McDonald's or, you know, by all means, eat how you want, but they feel the most confident when it comes to putting a business here. Yeah. Right? And they shouldn't feel the most confident.
Not at all.
Secondly, speaking of the discrimination, we more than anything, and what to me is fueling a lot of the, you know, displacement and everything else is we have a financing problem. You know, like all of the banks that are in South LA, they probably have 90% of our deposits, right, from people that are local. But how many of us feel comfortable walking in asking for a car loan, or a credit card, or a business loan? Our home loan.
Not even 1%.
How many people? Not even 1%. There's Bank of America. As much money as Bank of America may have, that from deposits in the area, how many? If I go look at their books, how many home loans that they give out, right? So you as a businessman, you know exactly. It seems like, especially with African Americans, you know, that we are they always want us to bootstrap everything. Right. Yeah. And I don't care if I'm vending and I'm selling bottles of water. Like, we need overhead. We need budgets. We need, like, I need a $5,000 loan so I don't have to choose between buying my cases of water and putting my sticker or whatever else on them and paying for my rent. Right. Mm-hmm. And you as a businessman, you understand that, right? You want to be able to separate. You want to have a line of credit. Yes. But where's the line of credit to do these things? And when you have these buildings that haven't been fixed up in 30, 40 years, that leaves you in a dilemma, right? Because one, you have to look for the landlord to fix them up, which they're not doing, right? And if you want to be a business owner now, you have to go in and spend you have some experience with construction, $30, $40, $50,000 on somebody else's building.
That's on the low.
Just to get it presentable.
Yeah.
So where's the solution? Where does that come from? If we can't get the owners to fix it up and it's too expensive for us to fix it up, where do we fall? So that's where the financing come in. We need financing for business loans and commercial buildings. Yeah. We need to be able to buy it all so we can renovate, you know, bring it up to speed, and we can have the equity in the community that I'm talking about. Because I promise you, if I owned the cleaners around here or, you know, something like that, and I had thousands of upwardly mobile people coming in my neighborhood, I would be happy as the owner of a cleaners, right? Yeah. If we had the equity in this neighborhood and in this South LA that we were supposed to have, we would be happy about the newcomers coming in because they would be bringing more money and resources with us. The conflict, the fight is that instead of us increasing our resources in the area, we're fighting over the same ones. Yeah. So we have to stop the fight, and, you know, just by fixing the stuff that we have around here will create more, you know, for it to be able to go around, you know.
Wow. Nice. You know, as I said earlier, and you know, I'm very passionate about business. You know, how do you think, you know, we could get more, you know, black people to open up businesses, you know, in our communities? Because, you know, when it come down to a lot of businesses, we see every other culture but us running these businesses. So how can we get more people in our community to start up businesses?
I think the financing. I think the finance is the one thing. And then restoring the confidence, the economy, we would be restoring the confidence in the local economy, right? Yeah. So if you have confidence that you're going to make money being somewhere, then you won't have a problem being there, right? Yeah. The problem is we don't have confidence that if we open up a store on the corner, what's your confidence level that you're going to get customers? And until that confidence level is brought up, then that's the solution. We have to bring that confidence level up. We have to get people to commit, and that's where District 8 rewards come in. We're getting people to commit to spending money around here. Like, oh, if they're spending money around here, they're spending their money locally. That's going to increase my confidence in wanting to start a business locally.
Yeah. Nice. I think we need classes also in the Black community that show like the teenagers, and young men and young ladies, teach them about finance.
Absolutely.
How to open up their own accounts, building credit, getting into stocks, buying their first house, like what you did at 22.
Absolutely.
Business courses. What are your thoughts about that? And how can we get to that place where we now have those type of classes?
I would love to get to that case. I think that is what we need. I 100% agree with you. Now, I'm not running for school board, so there is so much I can do, but at least in the position, I'm able to have a different conversation as opposed to just a regular citizen.
Yeah.
I'm able to have some influence, and then I do know some of the candidates running for school board, so depending on who goes in, it might be a rapport that's there already. But yeah, I think those changes need to be made, and they need to be made right away. The benefit for me, I would say, is as far as the 8th district is concerned, I only have one public high school to worry about. And that's what offends me so much, that it's not doing as well. We have a couple of high schools in that district. If you look at the lines, the red line, and they strategically, it's not straight lines through. But the main high schools we have in that district is View Park, Locke High School, and Crenshaw. View Park is a charter school. Locke High is a Green Dot school, which is charter as well. And so now we only have Crenshaw as a public school. So I mean, if we only had one public school to work on, I would think it would be the jewel of the nation, if not, at least the state, right?
Yeah,
Let alone let's not send our kids here. What sense does that make? So we just have to do exactly what you said, bring some of these programs back and put more energy on taking care of the one high school we do have.
Yeah. Definitely. And we also have a big, issue when it comes down to homelessness.
Yeah.
In our community and everything. Any thoughts on that when it come down to that?
Homelessness is something a little harder to tackle. I think we do have to start to process. And I've read over Proposition 1 that is on the ballot. I read the summary, and that seems pretty legit. It's kind of in line with what I was suggesting, in that we have a lot of the homeless population either suffers from drug abuse or mental health. And that's from talking to police officers and just knowing they have to be the responders for all of this. So they also stretch our police force thin. But yeah, it's a lot of mental health, and it's a lot of drug abuse. And a lot of times the homeless, they have rules at these homeless shelters, right?
Yeah.
No drug abuse, curfew, no company, no sex.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so the people that are usually outside are the ones that can't abide by those rules, right? They're the same ones our kids got to walk by on the way to school and everything else. And so what they're trying to do now, what I was always said, we need facilities specific to people who are mentally ill and people who have drug addiction, because you're not going to get those people off the street, right? Yeah. You can't reason necessarily with somebody, depending on what their mental illness is, but I don't want to put myself in a position to have to reason with the mentally ill, and I don't want to put myself and have to reason with the drug addicted, because that's going to always, flow over. So we have to get these people in, process them, see what their needs are, and either give them rehabilitation or, some type of service, convalescence for the mentally ill, to make sure they're not out here, doing things. Because at the same time, do I really want a mentally ill person or a drug addicted person to be in the same homeless shelter as a single mom with 3 kids?
Yeah.
No.
Not at all.
Absolutely not. And there was an article in LA Times about in 1967, they had Ronald Reagan had shut down state-funded mental health hospitals, because remember, like, the old narrative, you act crazy, they come and get you, you be in a white coat. We used to see that in cartoons and stuff growing up.
Yep.
Where's those people at? Right? That's been shut down. So you can act crazy in the middle of the street and only the police got to deal with you.
That's it.
And that's it. You just go to jail, right? And so Prop 1 is talking about reestablishing, some of those things, which I was already for that, reestablishing those type of hospitals and things to get these people some help so we can get them off the streets for sure.
Wow, that's big. That's really big. Jahan, you're young, You've been, successful for a while now. Like you said, 22, you bought your first house, been in real estate. You went very far in life. You know what I'm saying? And when it come down to the political side of things and running for city council, you new to this, right? So, what would you say to the community, the part of the community that may feel like, well, he's too young and maybe too disconnected. He been out there, successful, doing his thing for a long time. We comfortable right now. And I feel the person that's in there right now is going in a direction that we want to see this community going in. What would you say to those people that may feel like you too disconnected and probably don't understand the needs that they want to be fulfilled?
Well, the funny part is, I mean, you can accuse me of being young, but I don't think anybody would accuse me of being disconnected.
Okay.
Because I am connected. And I don't mean that like a build my chest up out of the way, but I have not lost my connection to the streets or the area. And I think that is to the contrary, that is a knock on my opponent. He is kind of the incumbent, I should say. His notion or his reputation is that he doesn't have a connection to the local area and just not in contact with anybody. He's not accessible, And for me, I'm very accessible. Even like I said, I went to school here. My mom, my dad, my sisters and brothers. Like, even if you can't find me, you can probably find one of my family members. At the very least. Yeah. Like, I would not be able to get away. The connectivity part, I think that is one of the main reasons I'm running, because we don't feel, and I'll say we because a year prior to this, I was on the we side, right? I just got here, right? But prior to this, I'm like, we don't feel like he's accessible and we can reach him. And so this is me just choosing to do something about it. And it's a sacrifice, but, we're here now.
Nice. nice, And I like how you broke that down, Yeah. So a lot of people may not understand you all the way. They like, oh, real estate, success, and all of that. Yeah. But this is where I come from.
No, this is where I come from. And I know people suggested that. I know it's part of like the political game. And when you list yourself as a candidate, they ask you to list what you do for a living. And it's like, incumbent, community organizer. Everybody wants to put like community organizer or something that sounds like it's for the people, because you're gonna have a lot of people that vote without really knowing any of the names. But I just stayed true. I wanted to say real estate broker because first, after 20 years of real estate, a lot of people know me for doing real estate. So I wanted to make sure they made that connection when they go to the ballot, but to the voting booth. But also, I just wanted to let people know that I do have somewhat of an understanding of finances and what makes the neighborhood increase in value and things of the sort, and just how to deal with those things. That I'm not just pulling them out of air. That I have some realistic strategies and plans to try to get things going.
Yeah, and that's what our community needs: someone who understands finances and how to get us to that next place. Because we already know when it come down to finances and entrepreneurship and everything like that, that's what runs our world.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So if we get more of us to that place to where we understand that, and it's coming more into the communities towards us, then we'll start to see the growth, and everything. So that's big. I don't know much, about the other candidates, but let's go down the list. What is going to make you a better city council member than a Cliff Smith, who you had a debate with a couple of weeks ago?
How did you like the debate? You don't mind asking?
I thought it was dope. I when it come down to Cliff, I would say he was very how can I say it? He was seasoned.
Yes.
You could tell he's been doing it for a while,
Absolutely.
Right? When it came down to you, I almost felt like, when we first found out about Obama, he was young, he was new, he came from, our community, it was like, we didn't know what to expect, but it felt good.
Absolutely.
It felt right.
I got you.
You get what I'm saying? That's what I felt from, the debate.
The difference.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
No, that's dope. As far as the other candidates are concerned, let's start starting with Cliff. And Cliff's a good guy. Like, I'm not running any smut campaign, or I'm not out here to pull up people's dirty laundry and go looking for stuff, but I think me and Cliff do, we do agree on certain issues, surely. Or at least I think we agree on certain issues. I think we don't agree on how to solve them, if that makes sense. And I don't think we agree on the priority levels. For example, when they asked him what was the biggest priority facing, our biggest problem facing South LA, and he said Trump, I was like, huh? Now, not to be for or against Trump, but locally, that is not our biggest issue at all. Like, we got streetlights that don't work. We got homeless everywhere. Like, defeating Trump, like, what do you mean? Like, you know what I mean? So that's what I mean when I was like the connection, you know, the connection to the community, because I can tell you most of my friends and neighbors are not staying up at night worried about how we're going to keep Trump out of office. They're not. They're worried about how they're going to pay their bills. They're worried about how they're going to do other things. Like, and so to me, that showed a huge sign of disconnection. And I would say the second thing that, you know, that he's a proponent for that I think is a little unpopular is that, you know, he says something about giving migrants the ability to vote a week being over here. And I'm like, well, that doesn't increase our equity. That actually takes away from it. You know what I mean? It dilutes your vote. And most importantly, and I wouldn't even have a problem with all of those things. The problem I have is if you've only been here for a week, how do you know what the issues are? Like, if that's the case, I might as well go to Sweden and vote right now, because I don't know like what's going on in Sweden. Sure, yes for this guy, no for that guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then even with our race, you're telling people how big of a deal it is to get the incumbent out, but you understand if somebody just got over here yesterday, they don't know that. They're just going to click. It's a guess. So why would we need people that have been over here for a week to vote? They're guessing. Some of them, you know, they're guessing. And that's not going to move us forward. It's only, again, going to dilute our votes. So I think those are probably, as far as Cliff is concerned, those are probably the two biggest areas we differ on. Right there specifically. Yeah. You
know, one thing I do want to bring up, because I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like that part of it. You know, and it's really not understanding what's going on in the community, dealing with everyday topics,
right?
You know, and very important, you know, topics in situations that has happened in our community. Because a question was asked in regards to Q, and he kept saying football player, something like that, or
right.
You know, I could tell he didn't really know about what was going on, and I'm like, hey, this is really big in our community. You know, like, we want to know that you understand what's going on here if you're going to be representing our community, right?
Right.
So if you don't understand, like, how can we vote for you? How can anyone vote for you? So, you know, not taking anything away from him, I personally didn't like that he didn't understand what was going on in the community.
And
you know?
his biggest, his gripe, or I seem like his biggest platform, is against police. You know, police and police brutality, which I'm agree with, but I question his experience to be able to deal with the problem, because I want to go like, well, how many times have you been racially profiled? You know, like, how many times have you been, you know, like, you know what I mean? And I'm not, genuine question, right? How many times have you been racially profiled? Do you know what it feels like? Do you know how it happens? Have you experienced it? So if you haven't, you know, and I don't know if he has or he hasn't, but if you have not, then how can you come up with solutions for it? Yeah. You know, how do you identify? How do you deal with? Yep. So that's what I, you know, Cliff, like I said, good guy. Good. I mean, I definitely would, you could tell. You know, I would definitely work with him for sure, but I just don't think he's right for the district right now, in my opinion.
Gotcha. You know, we also have Marquise Harris Dawson, who have had the seat now for the past 8 years, you know, as city council member for District 8. What makes you better for the job, you know, than him when he has been running it for so long?
Okay. Well, my first question would be, over the last 8 years, has South LA got better or worse?
Worse. I mean, I gotta be real. Sorry, Marquise.
Right? Let's just.
He asked me the question.
No, it's a real question.
You know,
right?
my family, you know, in the city, you know, so I see what's going on every day. You know, so I gotta be real. It's worse.
I'm sure the street lights were working when he got in. I'm sure some of these things that seem, you know, we didn't have a homeless crisis when he got in. I'm sure we had affordable housing when he got in. So, you know. It kind of leaves me, you know, dumbfounded when you know, I know it's a good question. It has to be asked, but it's almost like the results of what he has done is so bad. You know, I don't want to insult him, but I almost feel like, you know, I don't know, my niece could do better or something. Because what do we got left to lose as far as the South LA is concerned? You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, all we get is a movie in the park every now and then, or just small trinkets. You know, even at the events, he doesn't show up. He puts his tents up and, you know, leaves, you know, or whatever else. There's no community engagement. There's no, like, seeing him in public is like seeing a unicorn. And so if you're that disconnected from your constituents, you know, and you don't really want to be around them or hang around them or, you know, be involved with them, like, how can you represent them? I can promise you after the election, win or lose, I'm still going to be at the King Day Parade. I'm still going to be at Leimert Park. Y'all say what's up at Taste of Soul. You'll still see me. You know, like all of the normal events that we have around LA, because I'm part of the community, I'm still going to be there. I'm not like running and hiding, you know. So I just don't think at this point, and maybe it's just been, you know, too far along. Maybe he's been in office for too long, and it's just he's lost the passion. But, you know, when I look at him, I don't see a passion. You know, I don't see the passion for the community and the passion for the job that I think is needed to fix our problems, let alone the fact that they have all gotten worse.
Yeah. You know, the debate that, you know, you and Cliff just, you know, had a little while ago, that was the first debate in over 10 years.
Right.
Can't even really recall the last debate, right?
Right.
You know, so this was a big moment. You know, why do you think Mr. Dawson didn't show up for that debate you and Cliff had? Do you feel like he believe he have this in the bag? Like, what are your reasons on why you think that he didn't show up?
Honestly, you know, I know it's always you know, podcast, but you got to speak honestly. I'm still going to speak honestly.
Yeah, keep it real.
You know, I've seen how he's welcome in public, and it's not well. You know, like I remember I went to the Rock the Bells event, which is an event they had on 54th. You know, going down 54th between Crenshaw and Van Ness, and a lady got up in the crowd and started cursing him out while he was on stage. Wow. You know, and to the point to where he couldn't continue to talk, and you know, and it's a lot of angry reception. You got to keep in mind, we lost the Crenshaw Mall. We don't have a grocery store on Slauson and Crenshaw. You know, Rite Aid is pulled up out. Like, we're losing things, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think his reception is like?
Terrible,
right? And so I think he's, you know, even for him to be campaigning, I see his tents out. I don't see him out. Yeah. So I think his plan is to win off of name recognition. That, okay, well, even if you're not aware, at least if you see my name, but he's not going to show up anywhere where he might, you know, get mobbed by the people, you know, in my opinion. But yeah, I think that's my biggest challenge in this is getting my name out enough to where, you know, my name is recognized. I don't think it's a matter of our records. I don't think it's a matter of my ability or anything like versus his or anything like that. I think it's just, you know, people that are going to go in that box and just check a name, not knowing who is who.
Yeah.
And those are the people that I'm trying to reach, so they're just not checking random names.
Definitely. And talking about, you know, a lady getting up and, you know, getting loud, yelling or whatever, he should know black women don't play.
No, they don't play. I'm not playing with them.
They not playing no games, you know.
I'm not playing with them.
So that's when you know, hey, something ain't right.
Something ain't right.
You know, because they not going to sit down.
No.
They going to let us know when we not, hey, as men, they going to let us know when we ain't moving right.
Gatekeepers.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Keep us in line. That's what we need our black queens for. I appreciate them.
Definitely. In regards to debate, the debate that because like I said, this was the first debate in a while. Was there anything else that stuck out to you? Which was, like I said, a great debate. You did amazing. Cliff did amazing. You know, I think y'all two were very. I believe that y'all stood tall, man. Just going to do that because y'all didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
You know, but y'all did it.
Yeah.
You know, so I got a lot of respect for y'all. You know, holding down that debate. But what are your thoughts overall on that debate?
It was good. You know, it was honestly, these things are a little difficult for me because I'm comfortable talking to people, but as soon as the camera comes on, I feel like I'm just awkward, you know, whether it shows or not. And so that's one of the things that I'm, you know, getting over. And crazy enough, I grew up in that church, right? Like I spent time there. So it was somewhat nostalgic because I used to do the announcements in that church as a kid. So I'm used to being at those podiums speaking in front of a crowd, and so it was all a little nostalgic to me, like, dang, like 30 years later now, look at me sitting here really having a debate. But I think all in all it was a good debate. I think the people needed it, so I was so happy to put it on because I don't think we have that kind of transparency in our politics right now, right? Like, it's just streets, you know, lawn signs, you know, a couple of, you know, commercials, if that, and you know, there's no real effort to address the people, see what they want, see what their needs are. It's just, you know, popularity contest. I know I've been doing a lot of canvassing and I've like knocked on people's doors, you know, here's a flyer, my name is Jahan. They almost like faint at, like, not faint because I'm somebody famous, but like they're just amazed that a candidate is at their door talking to them because they're so not used to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, wait, you didn't send a mailer, you actually came and you're sitting here talking to me? So yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So, you
That's
know,
what's up.
I'm not afraid to, or I actually enjoy connecting with people. It's part of the position that I like. I like connecting with people. So that part doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. That's big. You know, talking about church and everything like that, do you see yourself as like a faith-based person? You know, and everything like that?
I am a faith-based person. You know, I definitely faith-based. Maybe not traditionally, but yeah, I definitely, you know, honor God and, you know, very, you know, religious in that standpoint. But it's kind of a personal thing for me. Like I don't really talk about religion much with other people because it's so personal to me, if that makes any type of sense. You know?
Definitely.
You know, especially in the world where everybody has an opinion about who or what God is, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to alter anybody's opinion, and I'm not trying to have mine altered too much as well. So I just kind of, but yes, as far as faith-based religious person, I do consider myself a religious person for sure.
Definitely. You know, and also ask that question to step on the big stage when it come down to politics and everything like that. You know, lately this thing just came out where the Democratic Party, you know, that Joe Biden leads, you know, he's the president, of course. You know, they're stopping Christians from adopting, you know, kids because, you know, when it come down to kids, they want kids to be able to decide when it come down to their sex, you know, sex change and everything like that, or they want them to make their own decisions nowadays, right? So they're trying to stop Christians from being able to adopt because, you know, it goes against the Christian faith. So I want to know, as a person in politics, what are your thoughts against that? Is that something that you feel is the right direction to go in when it come down to stopping anybody from adopting kids, or do you not agree with that?
I don't agree with that. I think anybody that's parenting is going to some extent indoctrinate your kids some kind of way, right? Even if it's whatever lessons you teach them in life, you are indoctrinating them to what you feel like is going to make them a safe and successful, you know, grown human being. If these people, we can all judge and have our own opinions about what we think this should be or that should be, but if the long story short is the people that are adopting are grown, responsible people who are well adjusted to life, then chances are they can help somebody else grow up and be well adjusted to life, right? Whatever they've been taught, you know, usually we all get older, and at a certain point in time we have our own minds, you know, so there's room for correction. But I don't think that, you know, especially when it comes to kids, especially when you're talking about things like sex changes and things like that. I don't understand how we can advocate for you to say that kids can't drink because they're not fully developed, they can't smoke, and they can't have sex, but they can change their sex. Like let the kids develop. If they choose to do something later on, that's their choice. I'm not standing in the way of that. But yeah, I wouldn't want a choice like that to be in somebody else's hands. I would like that to be in that individual's hands when they are old enough to and mature enough to make that decision properly for themselves. Because they're going to have to live with it for the rest of their lives, right? Yeah. You know, period. Like if my mom lets me cut my finger off right now or whatever, you know what I mean? Like whatever decision she let, I'm going to have to live with it for the rest of my life. So I think that's something that should be made by the person when they are ready to make that decision.
Yeah. Wow. That's big, man. You know, when it come down to you, Jahan, one thing that I respect is that you tackle everything, you know, and I respect that a lot. You know, one thing I want to ask you, you know, too, and then we're going to move along is, when it come down to where we come from, it's a certain, you know, section of individuals who I feel they don't really believe in politics and all of this because, you know, they don't think that anyone is ever really listening to them. And and the ones I'm speaking on is the gang community. And I mention them because, you know, I have a lot of individuals who come and sit at this table who maybe ex-gang members or went through a lot, so they come in to tell their story and everything like that. What is something coming from the communities to where gangs was around and everything like that? What is something that you could tell them that could, you know, that where you could show that I am listening, and I do want to also bring us together to do some things that can help our community, not hurt our community? What is something that you could say to the gang community?
Ooh, that's a good one. The gang community, this is a hard question for me. And I say that because there's things I have to talk about, obviously, live with you. But I think if we all grew up here, if you grew up here, you know some gang members, right? You went to high school, something with some gang members. These are not like, for people that are not from the community, these are like just isolated individuals. Why would they this, that, and the third? But I kind of have a little bit of an understanding of almost what makes a gang member a gang member. And we talked about it. We talked about the absence of fathers in the home and having the chip on your shoulder and having to hustle and things of the sort. So I think my message to them is that I've kind of been where they are, to an extent, as far as having to deal with this LA stuff out here. And I have a genuine heart to want to see it change. We talk about boys in the hood, and this is people that know me know this, but I was a witness to my friend's murder. You know what I mean? In gang violence. It was an altercation or a situation that I was part of. And, he died when I was 22. So I've been a victim of the gang violence several times over, not only as a person, not fatally, but also just family and friends that I've had, pass away through these type of things. So yeah, I mean, what I would say to the gang community is, if we're really trying to get together and fix this, I'm gonna need all y'all help, because my heart is there. I'm genuine about it, and if you guys can adhere to that and think that somebody that really comes from the community could want that, then yes, I want that, and but we're gonna need you guys' help to stop it, straight up. There's nothing we could do by ourselves. Everybody has to come together. And we literally talked about this. I almost want to be, if Quincy's available, I don't know. I almost want to bring him out here because we literally talked about this on the way here about, solutions about how to get that kind of stuff started. And I think part of it is making them feel like they have equity in the community, right? Like if you own something and you're proud of it, whether it be a car, a house, or this, that, and the third, you generally don't want to tear it up, right? And so there's a lack of, they don't feel like they have enough equity around here, and I think that's part of it. Just more, pride and this, that, and the third. So to line it up, what I would say to the gang members is that I understand the struggle. I've been there. I've experienced some of the things you guys have experienced, and if we wanted to change, and if we wanted to change in our lifetime, then we have to come together and do it as a group. It is not a one-man job. For sure.
Man, let me tell you why. You definitely have my vote. Let me tell you why. We're not talking about the world right now. We're talking about our community, right? When it comes down to questions like that, they have to be answered by someone that's sitting in that seat.
Yes.
Because that is a big part of our community in LA. You got to be able to attack every community.
Absolutely.
Gang community, the hustlers in the streets, the single mothers, you had a single mother, the young men is trying to, go out there and go to college. The young men that just want to start a business. You got to know how to connect with all of those communities and worlds when it come down to LA. And that right there is usually a part that a lot of people can't connect with and communicate with. And we just seen that you can.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? And that's is important. That's the difference. That is important.
And I said literally to Quincy on the way here, I was like, look, peace treaties are not a new invention, right? We didn't stop whole countries from fighting, and that's after they didn't drop bombs on each other and this, that, and the third. So we've had peace treaties to stop whole wars. Surely we can come up with a treaty or something, or some type of peace agreement just to cover this little section. It's not beyond us. It's just a matter of somebody really making the attempt. So if we can stop a World War I or a World War II or anything else like that with a treaty, then surely there's some peace agreement we can come to, especially if everybody is benefiting from the peace.
Wow. Amazing, man. You broke that down for real. Jahan, at this moment, I want you to look in the camera and let the people know why they need to come out and vote. Not just vote for you, but even come out and vote. And because, when it come down our community as well, a lot of people are like, what, my vote don't matter. I'm not finna go out and vote. Nobody care about me getting out there and vote, but they vote do matter.
You see, I have to grab the microphone for this question.
So I want you to look, that's the camera. I want you to look in the camera and let the people know why they need to come out and vote. Not just vote for you, but they need to come out and vote, period.
Yeah, I'm gonna nerd out a little bit on this, and I'm gonna, bring some numbers and statistics, and I literally posted this the other day. So in the 8th district, we have approximately 252,000 as far as the population is concerned, right? Out of that 252,000, 136,000 approximately are registered voters, okay? The incumbent, he first ran in 2015. Out of 136,000 registered voters, he won with 7,600 votes. Wow. In the primary. So and that was 62% of the votes, meaning only 8% of the population even showed up. So it's the apathy that we are being taken advantage of through the apathy, because they're like, oh, they ain't they don't care over there, so they're not even gonna show up to vote, so when you look at the numbers, like, whoa, those numbers are that low, like really nobody's showing up. All I got to do is get maybe 10-20% of people to show up and I have a good chance. So it's really that's what I would get out. That's why I need everybody to show up and vote, because not necessarily for me, but you guys are allowing the minority to make the decision for the majority. And a lot of these things you guys are complaining about, you have the power to change, but you have to participate. Just like we said with the gang members, it's not all on one group. Everybody has to step up and put in their part and participate. And as long as we get a participation from everybody, then we have a chance to, do what we're trying to do. So what I'm asking for you guys is for participation, even aside from your vote. Of course, I want your vote, but not even asking for your vote at the moment. I'm just asking for you guys to show up and make your voice heard, so, we can change those numbers. And, when things don't go right, we can kind of hold some people accountable. But you got to think, and I don't know if everybody knows what city council does, and I'll explain it. City council makes the laws in the city of LA. So if the mayor, it would be, if I would compare the mayor to the president or the governor, I would compare Congress to city council. We put the laws through, mayor signs off on it or not. So anything that we want around here that you guys feel like is not happening, this is the person that you need to have a relationship with. So the accessibility to the person that's there now, and what we're complaining about them not being accessible, is very important. Also, we vote on the budget for every department. Yeah. Every department in the city of LA, and the city of LA right now has a $13.1 billion budget. So if I know there's an area where people are not really, are kind of apathetic or not participating, why wouldn't I just send one of my candidates down there and throw money from outside the neighborhood, which a lot of that money is coming from, and just, hey, not many of them is going to show up and vote anyway. Just grease a couple palms, have a couple picnics in the park, and you should be able to get this. Because I'm 1/15 of a vote on $13 billion. It's the numbers are, the numbers make sense. So we're giving you guys all that information, which I don't know if you've had before. That is my reason for asking you guys to show up and vote and just let your voice be heard. So that's my request.
Wow, great answer. And before voting time and everything like that, are there gonna be any more debates or do you have anything coming up to where you're gonna be able to speak to the people outside, or what do you have coming up?
We do have some things coming up. We're getting this 2 weeks left, so it's a lot of canvassing. We're going to do another voter registration. Leimert Park vendors asked us to help them with a voter registration, which is nice. My district starts on Vernon, on the other side of Leimert Park. Yeah. Excuse me, but it's still a lot of our constituents go to Leimert Park. And plus, if anybody reaches out and asks for help, I'm going to help them, Yeah. So we've been doing voter registration February 25th. Also going to have a big results party at the Connect, which is Vector 9, a Nipsey Hussle's old spot. Yeah. It's been taken over by a nice young group and a young lady, Tiffany, and I thank her so much for being so supportive of everything. But we're going to have a results party there that night. You guys bring your I voted stickers to get in for free. And we're just going to toast up, watch the results come in. We got a couple of food trucks that's going to come up, some vendors, and, we're just going to enjoy the night. So those are the things that are coming up. Everything else, you guys can check my website, JEPPS 2024, JEPS 2024, and we'll have it all added to the calendar.
Nice. And let the people know leading up to it, when is gonna be time to vote. Let the people know. Break it all the way down, because sometimes we didn't hear it the first time.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So break it all the way down. When can people go out and vote?
Actually, people can vote now. So if you have those mail-in ballots at home, you can take that ballot, you can fill it out, and they have ballot boxes around the city. So you can take that and drop it in. The last day to vote is March 5th by 8 o'clock. And that's when, you go, the polls will be open and people are, lines around the corner, et cetera. But you guys don't have to wait until that. If you want to make it an easy, simple process, find that ballot that's probably already sitting in your house, fill it out at your leisure, and just go drop it off at the ballot boxes that are around the city. There are a good number of them.
Nice. What about the hundreds of people who may not have a ballot at their house? Where can they go and get a ballot?
Their polling place. They'll have a polling place close by to them. I have to look up exactly where they can go look up their polling place. That's something I should know, and I'm glad you held my feet to the fire for that. But I will get that information out as far as that is concerned. But yeah, you guys can if you have your ballots, you can take them in, and if not, you can wait to go to the polling place. Most people kind of know their local polling place, I think, though.
Yeah.
But I have to refresh myself on how to look up your polling place if you don't know it already.
All right. So one last time, the last day is when?
March 5th.
March 5th.
Tuesday, March 5th, 2024 by 8 p.m. Right. Our results party is going to start right after. So, after you guys get your votes in, come celebrate with us. Look, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be celebrating because, a year later, I'll finally get to take a deep breath, win, lose, or draw.
Yeah, you ain't lying, right?
Win, lose, or draw.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
You guys come out, I'll be happy to have you guys.
Dope. Any shout outs or last words or anything like that?
Nah, shout out to District 8, shout out to District 8. You guys, make your voice heard. Please get out there for me. I really appreciate it. I don't know if there's anybody. Well, I'll shout out, people that's been helping on the campaign. I'll shout out my campaign manager, Lana. Quincy Reese, he's in another room. He's been helping. Jasmine Stager, she's been a help to me. Ashley Young. Like, I had a lot of people that's been helping with the campaign. Oh, Deron Holmes. Thanks, Deron. Like, big time. So, Greater Bethel Church. Also, they hosted debate for us.
Yes.
Bobo from KJLH.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So if I sat here and tried to thank everybody, I would be Hoop Justice. I would be thanking people for like the rest of this time. But if I forgot you, I completely apologize. But everybody has been helpful to me so far. I very much appreciate you and thank you.
Man, Jahan, you held it down, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, man. I made it through.
Hey, you made it through. You did your thing, man. Hey, go out and vote. Hey, vote it in March 5th. So go do it now. You know what I'm saying? It's your boy Jahan, Paul P.
Thank you.
Nothin to Some Podcast. Love you all. We out of here. Deuces.
Peace.
I step in the ring, my eye on the mission. At 11 years old, this right here was my vision. Make it to the top, catch everyone's attention. The haters, they can hate, as long as they listen to the words that I say as my tongue keep twisting. Heavyweight flow, you not in my division.